Bitcoin. I love running, so I'm going to run around. So the countries, 40 countries, 400 days, just came randomly. I was like, yeah, 10 days a country, because I was still in my mind. I'm like, will they accept Bitcoin? Won't they accept Bitcoin? Where am I going? What I'm going to do? Will people support me? What's going to happen? I have no idea. So just was like 40 countries, 400 days. And that's how the journey started. And I'm here feeling blessed to share this with you, because this all was possible because of the plebs. So thank you all. Thanks to you all. There's a campaign called Geyser campaign, and Geyser says, let the sats flow. And if you want to create your circular economy, you need the sats to flow. You need the people to feel the Bitcoin. They need to feel what it is. Like when I used to give 3,000, 6,000 sats to people, and they're like, wow. It's a feeling, right? It's like
100%.
You got to feel, right? So this is something that has been changing in the coming future. I really see Lightning taking it forward.
We are live here today with Paco from it's Running with Bitcoin, right? That's your handle on Twitter. For me, super exciting, because not just because you're out traveling, spending Bitcoin, but I myself spent 6 months traveling around the world doing something somewhat similar to what you're doing. So when I was hearing you're doing that just on Bitcoin, I was super fascinated. We've been following you, for the last several months. And then I heard you were going to be in El Salvador for the Adopting Bitcoin conference. And I was just thrilled to actually be able to sit down with you and kind of hear a little bit more about some of the details. So why don't you tell us where this idea came from, how far into your Bitcoin journey you are, and then we'll get into some of the stories that you've experienced over the last year.
Awesome. First of all, thank you so much, man. Thank you so much for inviting me. My name is Paco, and I'm from India. And the journey goes back to last year. It was a full moon night, and my friend gave me a call. He's like, do you want to travel the world? I was like, yeah. He's like, but you have to travel on Bitcoin. And I was like, okay, yeah, but what is Bitcoin? He's like, I'm giving you a book called The Bitcoin Standard. Read it and come to me. 3 days.
Wait, so you weren't even a Bitcoiner at that time?
No, it's last year, August 25th is the date exactly I remember.
Wow.
I read the book, and I'm an Indian with a accountancy background. We have the gold standard in our country, which we don't follow, but personally families follow. So everything was just making sense, where our money was going. So I read that book and I was like, wait, it's crazy. And in the book, it said about Nellie Bly, a British traveler in 1878. She circumnavigated the globe by just using gold coins and pounds. And pounds was a new currency then. So I was like, hey, this is 2021 and I will travel the world by using Bitcoin. And my friend advised me it will be crowdfunded. So I was like, okay, because I have no idea. I'm new to the space. I'm on 0 followers, zero everything. And he did a first tweet for me. And that's when I started connecting to the people. I remember sending about 1,000 DMs to the community. And out of the 1,000 DMs, 45 people talked to me. 21 days later, and it's funny, it's 21 days later, or 22 days later, on September 17th, my first trip started. I hosted my first Bitcoin meetup in Bengaluru in India, and I got my first $200 in sats in Blue Wallet. And that's where the journey began for Run with Bitcoin. It's called Run with Bitcoin because I love to run. I feel it cleans my soul, it cleans my energy. And I was like, hey, Bitcoin, I love running, so I'm going to run around. So the countries, 40 countries, 400 days, just came randomly. I was like, yeah, 10 days a country, because I was still in my mind. I'm like, will they accept Bitcoin? Won't they accept Bitcoin? Where am I going? What I'm going to do? Will people support me? What's going to happen? I have no idea. So just was like 40 countries, 400 days. And that's how the journey started. And I'm here feeling blessed to share this with you, because this all was possible because of the plebs. So thank you all. Thanks to you all.
So let me get this straight. Your friend thought this would be a great idea, but your friend didn't want to be the one that actually was out traveling, sleeping on the floors and roughing it as a backpacker. So he somehow suckered you into the idea of doing it. Is that pretty much how it went down?
I've been traveling since 2015. So I had quit my job in 2015 and I traveled around 20 countries back then too. Back then there was hitchhiking. So I hitchhiked from United States to Argentina. So I love that phase. I've been couch surfing. I've couch surfed with over 450 families in my journey. So I've stayed in 450 different houses. So I understand the concept of couch surfing because that is truth down there. Don't trust, verify, because the references are there. And people are like hosting you. And I have really positive record of 400 plus references. I get that concept. And as soon as it came to Bitcoin, it was like, don't trust, verify. And I'm like, hey, it's like Bitcoiners are 80% aligned, right? So this is when it just fled in and I'm like, okay, I love traveling, I love running and I have to use Bitcoin as a medium of exchange. And I took it forward into a stage where the purpose of the journey became to show there is adoption of Bitcoin, to do mass awareness, so started hosting Bitcoin meetups in different cities and different countries, ultimately to show that humans of Bitcoin are kind people. They always keep on shouting like, hey, they're toxic, they're maxis, they're this, they're that. But now I'm like, hey, they're not toxic, they're not maxis. Bitcoiner is a Bitcoiner. That's it. It's a no coiner or a pre-coiner. And Bitcoin is just a normal human, man. They invited me to their house. They fed me food. They supported me through their energy. They gave me all their wishes. Some said sats. And so it just happened. It just happened all together. Yeah.
Well, I was surprised the other night when we were there and you were just rambling off in Spanish. And I mean, I've been living here for 10 years and I think your Spanish is better than mine. So that makes sense. If you were traveling around couch surfing through Latin America, even your name, Paco, that's a very Latin name. Is that an Indian name or is that?
That's a gift. So it was in 2014. I had gone for San Fermin in Spain, the bull run. And it was late night. We were drinking wine and it was my first night, in fact. And there was this Argentinian guy sitting in front of me and we were having wine and he asked me my name. I said, it's Hitesh. And he says, H is a silent alphabet. So your name becomes Hitesh. And as we are going out drinking, it's going to be difficult for people to remember your name. So you call yourself for the night, Paco. And Paco de la India is a Paco from the India, you know. And it was 2013, 2014, 8 years later. It's an easy thing. And it just started making sense because there's a beautiful quote that says, a rose by any other name would still smell sweet. So what's there in a name? And I was like, all right, Paco goes easy. Let's just go with it. And it's working.
I love that. No, that's definitely easier for people to remember. So I think that was a great way to go. As I was thinking about what you're doing, I was remembering back, I was telling you, I spent 6 months when I was 22 after I graduated from university, traveling around the world, sleeping on people's floors. I'm glad I did it when I was young because I don't think I could handle it these days. But you're a lot older than I was at that time, still younger than I am now. But how has it been? Would love to hear some of the highs and lows from the trip. And then also have been most of the people you're staying with, are they mostly Bitcoiners or have you just been staying with normal families and orange pilling them along the way?
It has been a beautiful journey, really thankful, really blessed. Always going to be say I'm always blessed because thank you. There's like a Satoshi cloak around me that's been guiding this journey. Yes, so the journey was supposed to be only on Bitcoin. So I was like, how do I impact Bitcoin? I cannot be going down to hotel finding for people to accept Bitcoin because I'm not just a salesman down there. So couchsurfing played an important role. So they were normies. So when I entered into a normie's house, I Bitcoinized them. I orange pilled them. So I started sharing Bitcoin with them. And from there, I start getting connected to the local crypto community on Telegram or on Twitter. From the local Telegram community, tell them like, hey, I'm traveling around the world. Do you know any people who accept Bitcoin here? So they used to help me with P2P trades, as well as take me to their friends' businesses that are willing to accept Bitcoin. And if not, I'm the first one to give them Bitcoin. And along with that, I used to take them forward and host Bitcoin meetups. Because what was the differentiation that was needed was what's the difference between Bitcoin and crypto? That wasn't very clear because Bitcoin is always seen as a price scam or price action is going up and down. It's already dead because the mainstream media just talks about price action. And we were like, it's going down, it's going bust. And every 4 years they have been doing that if you look back into the time. So this is how the journey went forward. And along the way, I was able to orange pill over, say, 1,000 wallets I would have opened. Because in every Bitcoin meetup, I ended up giving Bitcoin, show them what is Lightning Bitcoin and the joy they have when they get a couple of dollars in Lightning. And then I take them to BitRefill and I make them buy an airtime. And then they're like, hey, how did you do that?
It's so amazing you bring up BitRefill, because every project or people that we talk to, that is a key tool that they use, especially for creating that kind of circular economy, because it's an easy first, obvious way for people to use it. Because instead of having to go down, traveling to the store to try to refill their phone with phone credit, or a lot of times if you're out of phone credit in the middle of the night, you need to make an important phone call and you really can't add any credit to your phone. But with BitRefill, you can do it at any time you want from from the comfort of your couch. So I think it's funny that unprompted, everybody that we interview, they always bring up BitRefill.
Yeah, man. BitRefill, Travala.com, Cheap Air, and flights, hotels. Like there are a lot of such places because I was looking into the past who has done it, right? There was only one German traveler who traveled in 2016. His name is Felix Wies. And in 2015, there was a couple who traveled around the world using the same thing. So, but there was not much data to go after. And I was like, I have to do it on 100% Bitcoin. So to be really honest with you, and to be honest, what's real? The first 200 days, I was 95% Bitcoin only. 95%. But as I moved forward into Africa, started drifting to 80% on Bitcoin, 60%, 40%. And then the last was just like in every city, I was finding one business or I was orange pilling them to accept in Bitcoin. Ended up hosting 62 meetups in 21 countries. I think so that's where I was able to create communities of Bitcoin where we can point down like, hey, this is a Bitcoiner. Hey, this is a Bitcoiner. And was like really unplanned for, like it cannot plan for so many things. But BitRefill has been a really important part because they really came through in the first 6 months to support my journey. And I think so without them, I couldn't have got myself an Uber taxi, got myself food on Bitcoin, or bought myself a flight or a hotel stay. It's a beautiful thing to see how this magic internet money goes into the real world. And it's just like an on-ramp, off-ramp situation without doing any KYC. Your freedom is in your hands.
So did you see any of the families that you were staying with? Like, do you think they're continuing to use Bitcoin to top up their phones and for those things? Or was it still pretty early in a lot of those places? For us, our real focus is circular Bitcoin economies. That's what we believe is the real purpose of Bitcoin and what the future. Yes, we believe it's going to go up in value over time, but that's not what we really care about. We care about bringing people into a fair system where everybody's on an equal playing field, and finances, the system itself doesn't hold people back. So what's your take on where we're at with that?
On like, I always call it the hyper Bitcoinization. That's where we are headed towards. We are on 0.000001. Everybody likes the joy of it, but most of the people are on exchanges as Binance, Coinbase, Kraken, and everybody's on an exchange, and trying to get them off the exchange to use that Bitcoin for their day-to-day life requires that extra transaction fee of $15 to $20. So most of the people don't use it. They're just happy to see, yes, it's there. They're happy to see there is Blue Wallet is there. There is Moon Wallet, Wallet of Satoshi. These wallets are there, but they are not using it into their day-to-day life at all. But the beautiful part here is over the last week, thanks to SBF, I've got 5 messages, 5, not 1, but 5 messages. Hey, which is the right wallet? Moon or Blue? I was like, Blue to some, Moon to some. And people started withdrawing their funds out. So I was like, phew. A year later. And these includes people who are really backing on the dollars, the yens, the gold people. And they were like, hey, this is happening. The biggest exchange went bust. I was like, yes, you can't trust anyone. So it is really good to see that these communities are active. I would say that for Mozambique, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Cambodian community, Sri Lankan community has gone really strong. And these are the places that have been suffering a lot. They have had devaluations of their currency too. Like 100,000 has become 100 for them. So I'm really happy to see that they have started seeing the picture. And so I'm really banking on the fact like these will continue and currencies will continue devaluing. People will keep suffering, but people will always know there is a way out. People are aware of what is Bitcoin, what is the difference between Bitcoin and crypto, what is decentralization, because it's just not just a word. It is the longest chain. And this is what Bitcoin is. So yeah, we are really early, I would say that clearly. For 21 countries, El Salvador being the 22nd, yeah, we are very early.
You mentioned the fees to use Bitcoin. So I have to realize sometimes we live in a little bit of a bubble here in El Salvador because Lightning really is the default. Everybody's using Lightning. It's prevalent everywhere. But I'm guessing that's not the case still in a lot of the world. Are they still mostly doing on-chain payments? Okay.
On-chain. There's no Lightning whatsoever.
So are they even aware of it?
No, I'm the first one to show them. They're like, whoa. Because see, in India, we have something called the UPI, which is like M-Pesa in Africa, the instant payment. People are aware of it, but just to see Bitcoin move like $1 from my phone to your phone, and they're like, is this real? You have just given me a random app. What if this app shuts down? How will I recover it? Will government come after me? So there are these questions because people's biggest fear is we are not implementing it because the government hasn't implemented it. And I say this on behalf of Central Africa Republic, the country that I was really looking to go forward to and be like, hey, Central Africa Republic has adopted Bitcoin. Let's just go there. And the fact is, 0 vendors accept Bitcoin. 0. Like you get the thing, what you're doing here is bottom to top approach. You're making a base of the pyramid and that's where you're going up. They're doing from top to down. There's nothing. Not even the best hotel down there is ready to accept Bitcoin. And me sitting in front of him, I'm like, hey. He's like, no, the government hasn't rolled out anything. But they're talking about the Sango coin. And I got to talk to the president's office too. I was visiting the president's office and I was like, hey, where's Bitcoin adoption here? He's like, Sango coin, have you heard of that? It's been crazy. It's nowhere. I'll be very clear with you. But something to Lightning I had noticed was in Sri Lanka was Binance Pay. So Binance Pay is something that lets you send your coins between Binance customers without any charge. So there were about 8 businesses that were accepting on Binance Bitcoin. So if you're using on Binance Pay, it just goes free of cost. So that is something that I saw in Sri Lanka a little bit, but nothing of sort of like.
Yeah. And that, I mean, obviously that is better than nothing, but what we really want is something that's interoperable and open. And so just not something that's only good between Binance customers. And I think a lot of times they want to keep those closed systems. CZ actually came to visit Hope House. I don't know, it was, I think 6 months ago. And I think he saw his first Lightning payment while he was here. We were trying to buy coffee with him and said, hey, you can use Lightning. And he's like, what do you mean? I don't have Lightning. Like, come on, you run an exchange. How can you not understand how Lightning, where he was trying to shill the BNB, why don't you use BNB? I'm like, come on, this is Bitcoin Beach. But it was kind of shocking to me, to somebody who, obviously has been in the space forever, is a pillar of the space, but doesn't really understand the importance of Lightning, or maybe doesn't want to understand because they want to have a closed system. We saw a similar thing from when Ray from Paxful was here, but he had the opposite response. He made his first Lightning payment here in El Zante, and it was like the light bulb went off of, okay, we need to get this on Paxful. We need to roll this out. And now Paxful, I think, is one of the bigger Lightning nodes. I don't know if they're running their own node or if they're using somebody else, but there's all kinds of transactions now going through Paxful. So I think we really need to make sure that within even the Bitcoin space, people realize the importance of Lightning, and it really should be the default in a Bitcoin wallet. We always want to have the ability to go on chain, but Lightning should be the default payment option.
Yep, I totally agree with this. Just for BNB people, in their white paper, they said 160 million coins only. I was on Reddit and there was a guy complaining like, hey, they said 160 million. Now they have 200 million. How is that possible? And I'm like, hey, if they can do it once, they can do it twice.
Yeah.
And for CZ, Roger were, and I met some miners in Thailand during my journey. I didn't meet CZ, but there's batchmate. They're from the same batchmate. They were from back in those days, from 2010, 2012 days. They are in the same, and they were all together. I'm pretty sure CZ is aware of it because CZ runs the world for most of the people. CZ has everyone's funds. He controls, like they say, for Vitalik. CZ controls for it. And I think so he was just being like, okay.
Well, but I've noticed a lot of them, they know about it in theory, but they've never actually made transactions and see, you have to make a Lightning transaction to realize what a game changer it is for Bitcoin circular economies. And so I think it's important for Bitcoiners not to just have the theory about it, but to actually have practice of making purchases. And I mean, we have 9-10-year-old kids here in El Zante that make a purchase without even thinking twice about it. It's definitely not something that's difficult to do, but people need to get out there and just start spending their sats.
Yeah, like we have this thing, hodl. There's a campaign called Geyser campaign, and Geyser says, let the sats flow. And if you want to create your circular economy, you need the sats to flow. You need the people to feel the Bitcoin. They need to feel what it is. Like when I used to give 3,000, 6,000 sats to people and they're like, wow. It's a feeling, right? It's like
100%.
You got to feel, right? So this is something that has been changing in the coming future. I really see Lightning taking it forward because everything from Bitcoin Cash to BSV, everything, all the Litecoin, all the forks happening, this has come forward and we are hitting like over 5,500 Bitcoins are already on Lightning now. And it is crazy. It is such a beautiful thing. And I think so Lightning will be the way forward as it is much more secure and it is not on chain. So you cannot track who's paying whom. But I really hope, and I'm really blessed. Like, I really thank you for taking this initiative here because this is the only country where I've just been like paying for my SIM cards, for my coffee, for my coconut, for my bracelet, for everything, for my surfing lesson, anything and everything. They're like, yeah, like we accept Bitcoin and you have done a really great work. And I really liked this Fernando from Paraia, Brazil, which came up with this beautiful ball cards and you can just like tap it out and it's gone. And it's so nice because most of the times people, I was asked this question in your conference by someone like, hey, sometimes we don't want to carry our phones. You carry my Bolt card and tap it out. And that's so nice, right? And it's beautiful. Like, and especially in Africa, oof, it will be a game changer.
No, I think for people who can't afford smartphones, obviously that is the most practical way. But even for people who can, I don't like being chained to my phone. But when you're trying to do everything on Bitcoin, you have to bring your phone with you. So to be able to just have a card or Fernando was showing me this ring that you can wear, that you can tap. I mean, how freeing is that to not have to be able to leave your phone behind, but still be able to live on Bitcoin?
Yeah, it's nice. I'm really like excited for what comes since I'm a last year Bitcoiner, 2021. So for me, I have all this excitement. I have not seen a single bull run. I've not seen nothing. I'm just because I'm connected with it philosophically. I call Bitcoin as the halal money, which is very right compared to what we have in the current world. And I come from India where we worship gold, where we have time preference, where if my grandfather has given a chunk of gold to my father, that chunk of gold will be passed on from my father to me. And it's my responsibility to pass it on to the next person. We believe in gold. And from gold coming to digital gold, I really might understand what Bitcoin is now. I'm going to give you a personal thing. I was coming with my grandmom to India and my grandmom was wearing some gold jewelry and the customs stopped us. They're like, hey, is this your jewelry? Do you have a proof of this? She's like, no, we have been wearing this for years. The custom guy is like, show me your photos. And he literally went into my granny's phone to check out photos. He saw the photo. He's like, no, this is a different one. You have to pay custom. And she ended up paying like $400 or $500 as custom fee. So I think so Lightning Bitcoin and Bitcoin on chain would like really take it away where you can just move away anything.
Well, that's why I'm surprised that Bitcoin hasn't made more inroads in India because you hear these stories all the time of people busted trying to smuggle gold into India. I think gold sells at a premium in India because of the restrictions they put on the flow of it. And so Bitcoin seems like it solves all those issues. So do you think it's just a matter of time or what do you think it is that's holding that back right now?
Let's keep India 50 years later for accepting Bitcoin. Because gold is gold for India, it's a religion and people would still love gold and you cannot change 1.5 billion people because the neighbor is doing that, the government is doing that and government is trying to create its own CBDC because India is such a strong country right now that is producing everything from Apple iPhones to a Mercedes-Benz right there. Because India was anti-China since 2012, 2013, given that their inroads into Africa is. So India adopting Bitcoin, and I think so it's good. It's good that India doesn't adopt it so early because I was just talking to somebody in the conference and he was saying, as of now, we are on the petrodollar standard. We will be moving away from the petrodollar to the petrodollar Bitcoin standard. And from there, we'll be moving away to petro Bitcoin gold standard. So I feel like we need that India to be that really strong, to be on that gold, and government is really anti on it, and our currency is really strong. We haven't been that much devalued, you know. For when we got independence, $1 was £1 is 1 rupee. Today we are at 83. So we haven't seen the worst part, you know. We haven't seen the worst part at all. Like, but yes, people are really crazy about Indian Bitcoin, I would say. Did you go back to the back one? Can we go back to the? I would just show you something cool about it. This is the Hawa Mahal.
Okay.
It took me an hour and a half to give that person Bitcoin. Even though we have UPI, that's like Snap, Google Pay, Amazon Pay, we have that. It took me an hour and a half to teach them what is Bitcoin, to give them Bitcoin.
So for those of you who aren't watching online, we're just looking at some pictures from his travel, especially in India right now.
This is crazy. Statue of Unity. I believe Bitcoin is unity for us. That was my first meetup where I hosted, where I had zero connections, and that's what was at Draper startup. Tim Draper, he has 17,000 Bitcoins.
Yeah.
But she's shilling Tezos now.
I know.
I'm like, hey. This is me buying the shoes on Bitcoin. This shop accepts Bitcoin in Kolkata. There's another Bitcoin meetup. There's another Bitcoin meetup going for a run with people. So I take people with Bitcoin. And I'm sharing this, like, this is different cities. That's Pune, Vadodara, Bengaluru, Rajkot, Jaipur, Kolkata. And the next one, please. This is me buying medicines on Bitcoin, getting my teeth cleaned on Bitcoin. That's on Lightning, Blue Wallet. This is buying a cup of tea on Bitcoin.
So were most of these people, was this their first Bitcoin? Okay.
Fast. This is me. This one is something really, that's pizza on Bitcoin. That's on the left, if you see, that's a 13-year-old kid who knows about Bitcoin. He's selling an icicle. And for me, it was great. The top photo is in Ahmedabad, where I was called an anti-national because Bitcoin is anti-government. But this photo is really special to me for one reason. If you look at the person from left, the second one in blue, he doesn't speak, he can't speak, he can't hear. Okay. He found me on Telegram saying that you're coming to my place. We were chatting, he met me, we were chatting all day on Telegram. And he tells me English is freedom, Bitcoin is freedom. So really felt connected, like this is happening in India as we speak. It is really early, as we say 1.5 billion people, but with this internet, we have the cheapest data in the world. We are paying on an average for almost 2 GB per day. We are just paying $3 a month, $4 a month.
Wow.
So that is like ridiculously cheap, and the information is flowing. But with Bitcoin is considered as a synonym to crypto. So people are happy buying a Shiba Inu because you can buy 30,000 and 100,000 of Shiba Inus rather than 0.000000. And let's say people want to do 10x. People want to do 100x. They're really tired of that 10% hike, and sometimes they don't even get hike. So they're like, hey, this is my way forward. But the government has clamped it down so bad with 30% taxation now. And it's a ridiculous taxation in India. Let's say you did a trade in India. Let's say you traded this and you made $100. Good, $100 profit. But you did this trade and you made a $50 loss. So your net profit is 50. In India, losses are yours, profit are mine. We'll tax you on that. It's ridiculous. They're just clamping it down to launch their own CBDC, yeah?
Well, people always find a way. When the government tries to clamp down, they find a way around it. So.
Yeah. It's India. UAE. These are the lovely people the industry loves. The Carl Moon. This guy, he will always do this for every photo camera with mouth open. Otherwise, if you meet in real life, he'll be like, but where's the camera? Da Vinci, oh my God, I told you so. The guy who's been telling people to buy for $1 is all into NFTs, all into this. This guy's a Bitcoin changed my life, a really guy. He's got a heavy portfolio. Crypto, I got to meet, and Deep Bitcoin, Didi. This guy's all into NFTs and everything. 2017, you're aware of him. He sold everything. He did everything. It was nice to meet this guy. I remember when I started my journey, it was Bitcoin only. And I was like, I'll just do Bitcoin only. No exchanges, no shit coins, nothing, blah, blah, blah. But I met this guy and he told me, you have to work with exchanges. I'm like, why? He's like, see, where will people buy and sell their Bitcoin? And I was like, makes sense. 400 days later, I'm so thankful I didn't work with any exchanges. Just apart from Paxful, I worked with one. But I'm really thankful now that I see from FTX to go down to a Vault to go down to all of these to go down. And I'm like, Satoshi saved me, you know. But it's a great market. UAE is the crypto world, metaverse world. their government has pumped in a lot of money in there.
Yeah, we just did an interview last week. It was a quote crypto show, and I think they were interviewing me from UAE, was where the reporter was based. It seems like that has become a crypto hub, but they seem to not really understand the difference between Bitcoin and crypto. So something we need to keep working on.
It's a synonym. That's very clear. Like I was talking to the president's office in RCA. Bitcoin is the very well-known name. We accept all crypto. In fact, have you heard about Sango coin? And I'm like, okay.
So where are some of the most interesting places on your journey where you felt like you really saw the future of Bitcoin and why it's going to make a difference?
Thailand. We love Thailand. Everybody loves Thailand. You went to Thailand in your journey.
Were you there during they have that one holiday
full
where
moon party.
You have the water fights? Were you there during that time?
Oh no, I
can't remember the name of it, but they have this national holiday where like everybody just throws water balloons and buckets of water at each other. It's,
wow. Yeah. Okay. No, I was there for the full moon party, party everyone wants to go for. I wasn't aware of this one. In Spain, there is something similar. It's called Batalla de Vino, the battle of wine. They throw buckets of wine on each other and you got to keep dancing, because if you don't dance, you start feeling cold. So you wear white and you throw wine. Thailand was, okay, so this is me going international after leaving India. So I just started my journey. I'm entering Thailand and I was really scared. I just entered. This is Barry, the guy I was telling you about on the left, who created Umbrel on Lightning Network. Yeah. He's the guy. This guy on the third photo, this chap, I was at a bar and the lady's like, buy something. And I'm like, do you accept Bitcoin? She's like, give me money. So I'm like, I just have Bitcoin. This guy heard me. He's like, give me your Bitcoin. I will buy you a drink. He bought me a drink. This is a place where the owner doesn't accept Bitcoin, but the waiters accept Bitcoin, because this is a very small circular economy in Chiang Mai. Yeah. That was in Koh Samui.
So let me get this. So they'll take it from you and then they'll pay the bill with cash.
Yes. Okay. Yes. This was very important for me. This was Koh Samui. I had one contact that said, I will accept Bitcoin. I reached to that contact. He's like, I don't accept Bitcoin. And I was like, oh my God, this is a huge 90-kilometer island. How do I stay honest? How do I not cheat myself? The guy said, just take a right and walk. I started walking. You won't believe. 200 meters later, there's a big board. Bitcoin accepted here. It gave me goosebumps. I got my hostel on Bitcoin, food on Bitcoin, bike on Bitcoin, my scuba diving on Bitcoin. In fact, they even paid for my visa extension fee on Bitcoin.
Wow.
And I asked this guy and I'm like, why do you accept Bitcoin? He's like, when you go to an ATM here, they charge you that $5, $10. Now you don't have to charge. There's nobody doing it. And poor guy got scammed also because his private keys were on his phone. His son was playing with on his phone. Somebody got access to his private keys, lost about $15 grand. But that's PNT, Pim and Tony. Yeah, so that's Thailand. It was beautiful for me to go to Thailand. And I think so Thailand is one place where there are a lot of Bitcoiners down there in Koh Phangan Island. I think there were about 12 places I used Bitcoin in. So it was really nice to share with the community, hey, there are such places if you look for it, Cambodia. Okay, it's going to be fun for you. The left one, he's a BSV Maxi. It was a beautiful thing.
I didn't know those still existed. I thought they had all gone away by this point.
Australian, you see. Yeah, they go together. So I stayed at his hostel in Kampot. It's called Karma Traders. I'm like, bro, that karma ain't good, But really nice of him. He accepted Bitcoin from me. And I made him promise like, hey, keep it. Like the average Bitcoin price was $40,000. I getting my cycle on Bitcoin, OTC trade, buying a bike, getting a biryani on Bitcoin. And the left one, these are little kids. They had just entered into the crypto space and Bitcoin was falling down from $39,000 to $37,000 to $35,000. And I left the next day after the Bitcoin price because they used to always take Bitcoin from me and pay it forward. Or we used to orange pill someone, like I orange pill this person, orange pill that person. So orange pill, like, because people haven't felt it, right? You just go like, hey, you want to like take some? And people like, okay, why not? Because people love trying, like the way you used to go back to the time where you said, I tried traveling. And you always advise people to travel when you are young. It's like that, travel, try.
Yeah.
Just try.
So you were mentioning the price volatility during that time. So you were traveling as the price of Bitcoin was coming down. How did that impact things? How did that impact people's willingness to take it?
I used to never talk to them about selling. I used to say, hodl this one. But now I started from 45, 55, 60. Then I used UAE. Then come down to this. Now at 40,000, and I was like, now I started 60, 50, 40, and I was like, oh my God, this is happening. How do you say that? But people always used to say USDT is better than this because USDT is accepted by everyone. It's $1 of the charge on Tron or on, even if you're doing from Binance, just $1. And people used to say, why don't you do USDT? I remember when I started my journey, Bitcoin Cash folks reached out to me. They were like, hey, we are similar, Bitcoin Cash. And I was like, let me just check with my Maxi friend. And they're like, hey, Paco, don't fall for that. Don't fall for that once. But people really hate the volatility. And I think so that's why when you came out with stable sats, and I really felt like, phew, there is something for people to hold on to it, to keep on to it. But
yeah, I think there's going to be a bridge time as with the volatility of Bitcoin. I think eventually we'll all be on a Bitcoin standard. But I do think there is a real need for people that want to keep something in dollar terms because their bills are in dollar terms, but they still want to have access to the Bitcoin payment rails and this open protocol. So I think it's going to be this bridge technology that in 30 years we won't need anymore. But, you know, for the next at least 5 years, there will be a big need for that.
We need it, man. It's better than RSK. I'm not going to do that. Yeah, I think so. It goes good. But Singapore is really great. I'm just going to jump. I love Singapore. You can do any amount of Hawala 2.0, any amount of money that you can move around there. And Binance doesn't function there anymore. I was there, February 12th was their last day to exit the country. So what has happened in Singapore, Hong Kong, with the China thing happening, all the banks started shifting to Singapore.
Okay.
So the banks were on Singapore saying like, hey, if you do the crypto thing, we leave from here. And as you know, Singapore is a really small place and they need to comply by that because it's Singapore, Dubai, London, New York. That's where the money is flowing. But Singapore was really open. I think so Bitcoin, I found like about 8 to 10 from pizzas to coffees to bars to hotels. People are ready to accept Bitcoin. Like I think so all this is like Bitcoin. You see I'm buying a Milo Donis, a small juice on Lightning. That's a Blue Wallet Lightning.
Okay.
That's on Moon Wallet. I'm getting a train ride with him. This guy accepting Bitcoin. This guy giving me a cash as a gift because he's like, Paco, you have no cash. And I'm like, take some Bitcoin. He's like, no, see, he's accepting Bitcoin. So Singapore is really profit, but they will not go out open and say like, hey, Bitcoin, hey. But you can do a $1 million, a $5 million, a $20 million OTC sitting on across the table.
So when you were doing purchases, what percentage were Lightning? What percentage were on chain?
I would say 80% on chain.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
They are happy to see it on the Binance, man. It's much more better to see it on your Binance because I can sell it there. It is trustworthy. I have my KYC there. They won't cheat me. But me coming down and opening them a new app and telling me, hey, this is non-KYC. You're your own bank. They're like, can I take a screenshot of my keywords? And I'm like, please. It's a very nice feature in the iPhones. They don't let you take screenshots for, like if you do a Moon Wallet or if you do a Blue Wallet, they do not let you take a screenshot. They're like security feature.
Yeah.
And I'm like, thank God. But Samsung and Android is like, take a screenshot. We'll keep it. I have so many people who have lost their phones and they've lost their keys because they didn't do their backup. Yeah. Nice. It's going to be Sri Lanka next, I guess. Oh, Sri Lanka is a country that fell down, I would say. I love Sri Lanka. It's the jewel of Indian Ocean. These guys didn't have US dollars. With no dollars, there is no petrol. With no petrol, there is no electricity. With no electricity, there are no jobs. With no jobs, there is hyperinflation. With hyperinflation, people came on the streets, kicked out the president and took over the president's office. Nonetheless, great community out there. They all are crypto people. But that's me down there shouting to them like, hey, Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. Bitcoin meetups. I stay with local families, as I say, Bitcoin meetups. And yeah, this video is down there, the next one. There's a video next. I would like to show you this.
Finally, electricity is here, man. It's just timing. He's making a one copy, but good copy, huh?
Thank you.
This is my key copy.
So is this a hardware store or
No.
what is this?
How are you, brother? Do you have Bitcoin?
Yeah.
You have Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. I have doing Binance.
Binance.
No. Okay. Can I pay you in Bitcoin? I'll give you 500 in Bitcoin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go away.
No way! Oh my god!
So what were you buying there?
So I lost my hotel key.
Ah,
I went to get a copy of it. I'm so excited, man. I went to get a copy of it, and the lady was asking me for $100 for a copy. And I was like, hey, $100 is too much. Give me a copy. And I just went there and I asked him, and as you say, Binance, he has. It was an on-chain transaction, that too.
yeah.
And it was just worked. And this was beautiful. Hey, next video is tell you the reality of, that's one we didn't put it. I saw queues and queues of people in Sri Lanka waiting for petrol 7 hours, 8 hours, 10
Wow.
hours. You have crippled the, see, there's no more going to be a nuclear war. There's not a war of missiles and bombs. It's energy war. People don't have petroleum, people don't have electricity. What do you do next? We are all addicted to battery. What is a man without a battery?
Yeah.
Who are we? We are plugged in. There's a very funny joke I say to everyone. What's the difference between an African and an Indian? Or say a person from West. An African moves along with a power bank. And we from the West, we move around with a cable wire. Where can we plug it in? Where can we plug it in? That's reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. But Sri Lanka was a really eye-opener for me. I was there just before they were collapsing. I remember my P2P trades were at 150. On bank was offering 150, but the market was offering 300. So we already knew that's going to collapse, and it just happened. And it's an island, right? It imports everything. And China has taken over. So woohoo. China owns the seaport. China owns seaports in Thailand, seaports in Cambodia, seaports in Sri Lanka. So when they talk about the global south, from China, the seaports will come to Cambodia, come down to Sri Lanka, from Sri Lanka to Oman, from Oman to Tanzania, Kenya, South Africa. These all seaports, airports, roadways are owned by Chinese.
Yeah. No, they definitely have a strategy to acquire those assets.
Yeah.
It's,
Beautiful, right? You brrrr. Yeah. And then Qatar. This is one place I was really scared for it. But funny thing is, I left and a month later they launched an exchange. But it's going to be really nice for you. The person on the left, he had about a Bitcoin, and I shifted him from Binance to Blue. My host, as I say, every host, I orange pill my Couchsurfer host, accepting Bitcoin. This young kid has an Electrum wallet, 12 years old, an Electrum wallet, and he got me my running shoes. So I really was very happy about it. Obviously, the World Cup was coming down. I really like that. And me doing my half marathon. And now the Bitcoin price had just gone up from 39 to 46. I was like, woohoo. Well, that was Qatar. I hosted a very small meetup down there. And from there, we moved over into Kenya. And things went really crazy down. And this is when our Africa journey starts. My plan was to just do 1, 2, 3, 4 countries. But I ended up doing 16. And this is very important. I think so. Bitcoin was made for Africa. And every time people say Satoshi is black, I'm like, Satoshi is black. Because Africa is really crazy, man. Africa is really crazy. Africa provides for the world. India services the world. See, Africa provides all the resources for the world, from your lithium to your cobalt, to your gold, to your coal, to your copper. Everything is coming from Africa. Right now, the gas was stopped by Russians, right? Zambians were sending coal to Europe. The diamonds come from there. The gold comes from there. But funny part, all is owned by Chinese people. So yeah. Kenya, beautiful place, my brother. Beautiful place. A Bitcoin bus.
Really?
Yep, we're going to see the video later. A restaurant that accepts Bitcoin. Phone I bought on Bitcoin. I lost my phone. I gave my phone for repair. And the person sold my phone. And he drank and he enjoyed. And I bought my phone, but I had my keys, as you said, not your keys, not your coins. Was proven. I recovered all my wallets. I was like, woof. On the corner, it's a very small place, Kendu Bay. About 1,000 people live there. It's a fishing village. If you look left, it says Bitcoin. It's a game of pool. And you can play with it with Bitcoin. That's a massage place that accepts Bitcoin. And those are crypto people. Crypto Hub Kenya, they were receiving me. But I'll see the Bitcoin bus video would be there, the next one. Watch this, yeah.
Dude, we found it.
So awesome. We have there's a Bitcoin boat now in Guatemala that services the lake.
Man.
So we got the Bitcoin bus in India.
Nairobi.
Or Nairobi, sorry. Nairobi.
There you look at it.
That is
Foss,
so
it says
awesome.
Foss. It's a very funny thing. It says Greg Foss. I don't know, Foss from Foss. It says, look at it. If I'm passing by here, it will say Foss. F-O-S-S.
That is amazing. So do you know the story behind that?
Yeah, that's a very beautiful story. They got the branding of Bitcoin because Bitcoin is a trending word in 2017, 2018.
Uh-huh.
None of them have Bitcoin. I set them up a blue wallet, shared some Satoshis with them. But it's just like, they just had it because Bitcoin is a trending word. There were 2 Bitcoin buses back then. We call them matatus. And it took us a time to find them. But yeah, there's nothing else. Nothing else. Like we had a little chat with them. They have no clue. When we gave them some Bitcoin also, they were like, give us cash. And I was like, hey. And I'm like, okay, cool. It's okay. I respect it. I respect. Because it's Africa, brother. An average person's salary is $50 a month. $50 a month. That's 2 persons' dinner down here in El Zonte, right? And it's a month. And it's crazy. Yeah.
So after, did you finish up in Africa, or was that where all like?
From Kenya, we shifted to Uganda.
Okay.
I think so. The next one is Uganda. In Uganda, that's a nice one. There's a billboard right outside the Central Bank of Uganda that says buy Bitcoin. The company's yellow card, they were asked to bring it down. This is the equator in Uganda where I was telling the lady, I set her up a wallet of Satoshi and she asked me, is Bitcoin halal? And I'm like, yeah, this is the most halal money. Bitcoin meetups, Bitcoin with conventional schools. Those people teach kids how to make shoes, car repair, and something else I forget, welding. So they teach Bitcoin meetups and just buying Bitcoin products with my host. So Uganda was like that. But in Uganda, there's a very funny story. My friend in 2014 sold his cow to buy Bitcoin. He got scammed.
Wow.
$400 were gone. $400. From Uganda, Bitcoin price was good. I moved over into Rwanda. And, oh wait, what's in Uganda? Oh, this is beautiful in Uganda. You would like this. I'm walking in downtown Uganda.
Okay.
And this is right next to the banks area. All the banks, every bank is there. And I guess as we walk towards and I see a full-blown OTC desk. You see?
Wow.
Yeah.
See, that's our Bitcoin.
So are people there going there to buy
and
or?
sell.
Okay.
Okay. So I would like to convert my Bitcoin. Can I buy in Bitcoin? Yes. Okay, let's do it.
Wow.
And that's it. That's it. And guess what? They flashed me their shitcoin wallet also and a Binance wallet. They accepted the money, buy and sell crypto. Yeah. So there's a beautiful sandbox program going on in Uganda. So the government is allowing them to do this, but with the concept of doing that, hey, you have to do education with it. So they are doing the education, but in the midst of education, they're selling their shitcoin along with it, and they're doing this, but they're accepting money on Binance, and I'm like, how is this working, right? So that's Uganda for you. Rwanda, getting a car wash for Bitcoin, buying hand bracelets for Bitcoin, Bitcoin meetups. We move forward to Tanzania. That's Sandra Chogo on the left, Dr. Sandra Chogo, please. She has written a book in Kiswahili, the local language, to teach Bitcoin. Me going down, paying for my hike with Bitcoin. I went to Kilimanjaro, so took the Bitcoin flag to the top.
Nice.
I paid with Bitcoin. Bitcoin price was $40,000 when I climbed up. When I came down, the price was $30,000 in 5 days. And I was like, oh my God, what happened? I was climbing up, man. The guy luckily had done a P2P trade. I had connected him to somebody. He had converted it to his thing, but I set him up a blue wallet, as you can see. So I orange pilled him before going for the hike. My friend into mining, Bitcoin meetups, Tanzania, Malawi. Next is Malawi. The quickest Bitcoin meetup I had, she's an NGO, runs 28 schools down there. So set her up a Moon wallet, Bitcoin meetups, teaching kids about Bitcoin, paying for my hostel in Bitcoin. So loved the fact of sharing Bitcoin knowledge. And now there's a Malawi community that's active. There's a Tanzania community that's active. There's a Ugandan community that's active. Like any Bitcoiner who goes there can do any P2P trade, can host a Bitcoin meetup.
Do you still keep in contact with them at all?
All of them.
That's amazing.
So the thing was, when I went there, this was no contact for me. So I was they're just like fishing, and then things just worked up and it was just a blessing. Now you see Bitcoin price at 28K and I was like, okay, what's going to happen next? And we move forward to Mozambique. It's beautiful. Again, as you see, I'm buying bracelet with Bitcoin. The oldest person I orange pilled is 67 years old. The funny thing is he's a gambler. So it was easy to do that to him. It took me a day to do that. Bitcoin meetups, small little kids. They all have wallet of Satoshis. I'm buying a crab curry with Bitcoin. If we go next, there's a nice video. Yep.
And he has this wonderful store. What's up, George?
So you buying those shorts there?
Yeah, and guess what? He's right in the center of the street. He has no shop. And he is Herman Ikasi's, Bitcoin Ikasi's friend.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he has a moon wallet. He's on the street. Now watch. We are here and that's his shop. That's it.
Okay.
And he has a moon wallet.
No, that's so amazing.
Yeah, and we just bought it. And they all have wallets. Is this Tofu? I would say Tofu could be the next Bitcoin Beach, yeah, for Mozambique.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll have to look into that.
Yes, definitely. See, I'm on my wallet. And yeah. Yeah, that's nice. And this is the Paxful Lightning I was using as you were talking about Paxful. That's the only exchange that has integrated Lightning so far. Paxful was supporting my journey earlier on. There you go. And I was so happy to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, Paxful's been another person that really on the ground, really making things happen. I have a lot of respect for Paxful.
Beautiful. Like the built with BTC concept, I really loved it. I really love built with Bitcoin concept. They have done like 9 schools in Africa.
Yeah, they're helping out with the Bitcoinization project. They donated phones to us as we were doing our educational initiatives.
Wow.
Yeah, Paxful's been really great, not just on the business side, but really valuing the importance and for them, I think they're being driven by the view that these people need to be empowered. They need to have the same access to a financial system that we have. And they see Bitcoin as being the rails that are going to provide that.
That is very necessary because they all have sanctions. After sanctions, they have devaluation.
Yeah.
After devaluation, they have inflation. And after all of that, there is corruption. And after all of it, then the drought hits them. The mother nature is attacking them. And they are the providers. If Africa stops providing, the world stops.
Yeah.
If Africa starts accepting even 1 sat for every kilogram of resource leaving their countries, they will become that's why I say Bitcoin was made for Africa, they go on saying. It is a blessing. Like for me, this one, oh my God, this is a museum in Mozambique, Moneda, their money. As you can see, they all were 500,000, became, watch that, that's 100,000, CN meal. After the devaluation, that 3 zeros were removed and they became 200. That's 99.99999% devaluation. You have that piece of paper that is devalued all of a sudden. And I asked this guide, I'm like, why does that happen? He's like, people change, money changes. And I'm like, hey, back then it was gold, it was silver, it was a scarce resource. And this was a really funny thing to just understand, and it was really ridiculous to see how devaluation is happening and how they would just lose. Because imagine if you can't save money, how do you dream?
Yeah.
Because your mind is busy looking to feed your stomach. See, you and me are sitting here because our stomachs are full. If our stomachs will be hungry, we will be out on the streets, right? But here we are, right? And that's what it is there. And the majority is like that.
Yeah. And it takes all incentive away from saving or planning for the future because your money is not going to be worth anything. So you might as well spend it now.
YOLO. You only live once. Yeah. It's crazy, man. Zimbabwe. You all know it.
Were you on that bus?
Yes, I was on that bus.
Really?
Yes. I had just entered Zimbabwe and 10 minutes into the ride, the bus flipped. Everybody is alive. I was supposed to sit in the front because I always with my GoPro. But that day, the person was like, you're not sitting there, you're sitting behind. And that's the place that got damaged.
Wow.
So anytime somebody asks, how are you? And I'm like, I'm alive. It's a beautiful place. Zimbabwe, they have had devaluations. We all are aware about the millions. Anita Posh is doing a beautiful work down there. Thanks to Anita Posh, Bitcoin for Fairness. For me, it was like a ramp to just enter in. And I was like, this beautiful. I got to meet this guy imports cars. If you go back, this guy imports cars using Bitcoin because they have sanctions.
Yeah.
They are sanctioned country. You know why? Because they were asked to, they kicked out all the white people away. So they put a sanction on them. And they moved to the dollars, and now back from the dollars, they have moved back to this. They are back on gold standard now. So they're back on gold standard. Their money is holding value. But I felt hyperinflation there when I went to buy a loaf of bread. It was $1.10. The next day I went, it was $1.15. And this is the only country that uses US dollars, Zimbabwe bond, and South African rand. So when you are going down and paying and they're giving you in 2 different currencies and you're like, what am I doing? It's really messed up. My host, Orange Peeling him, Bitcoin House, and another Bitcoin meetup. So it was really nice to just share with people in Victoria Falls and Bulawayo, Harare, what is Bitcoin, just to make a differentiation because everybody wants to make money. Yeah. RSK folks are already there. Yeah, they're giving them $10 DOC. Yeah, this is a nice video. I'm walking in Victoria Falls.
What are you doing? I'm selling some treasury bills. Treasury bills? Yeah.
He's like, want to be a billionaire? And he starts showing me this, man.
So after traveling through Africa and the challenges of spending Bitcoin, I'm curious as to your take on El Salvador, because you hear, if you just read the news, people will say, oh, El Salvador is a failure, that, there's not everybody's accepting Bitcoin. But if you would have tried to spend Bitcoin in El Salvador 4 years ago, it would have been the same or even harder than what you experienced. So maybe share with the audience what the difference is you see here compared to how it's been everywhere else you've been, including Singapore and some of the more developed places.
El Salvador has a privilege of money. Average person's salary is about $360. That gives them a way to dream. As you look, people are smiling and they are in peace. And El Salvador has had a past, which everybody has a past. Every country has a past. Everybody was colonized. So let's not talk about the past. Let's look at into the future. It's the youth that is taking it forward, and people want change. Thanks to internet, everybody is sitting and watching, and they're learning. And in the midst of all of this, they are blessed to have this medium of exchange in their hands. That is financial freedom. So they are ready to like, hey, my father sent me money from USA. I have it. I've gone to my Athena ATM or to my Chivo ATM and I've got it out. I have saved. In Africa, they all are standing in queues. And it's not a 4-person queue. It's 30 people, 40 people to remove a basic $200 of money. And that too, they question you. Like if you send $500 down there, you'll be getting $300 in your local currency. 200, they will keep it for them. It's really pathetic. In El Salvador, I really felt something as a financial inclusion of a common man. The power was given back to the man, the financial freedom. 100 years ago, if we try to do this, you and me would be shot and we'd be killed. But today, we and me are able to talk about this. And there's a beautiful saying, it goes back, I was saying this to you earlier, Ugandan ex-president, he says, 1980 President Amin, he's like, you have freedom of speech in this country, but freedom after speech is not guaranteed. That is true in Africa, but here you have freedom of speech. Yeah. And that is something that I felt. And for me, El Salvador is the beacon of hope. As me, I get goosebumps when I'm sharing this with you because I am looking up to it because our neighbors, St. Kitts and Nevis, have 35,000 people. They're accepting Bitcoin Cash in March. And I'm like, we are with Salvador. See, we humans give energy. And as Bitcoiners, we understand this, right? That's why we are energy consuming people. And as Bitcoiners, we need to pass this energy out to El Salvadorians here. Con todo cariño. Ki ha, si se puede. Let's stand together. Why not? Come down here. I've been here, 7 days, 8 days. I haven't felt anything, man. Yeah. I feel safe. I feel blessed. And I feel like it's so nice coming to El Zonte or like in San Salvador also. One person is accepting and the neighbor isn't. This is called freedom of speech. Great, but they both are neighbors. I like it. Because, there's a saying in Hindi, Kharbujo ko dekh ke kharbuja rang badalta hai. That means looking at a watermelon, the other watermelon also changes the color. It's with time, Yeah. It doesn't happen in a day, even it takes 9 months to make a baby, man. And we have just come in a year, man. Let's keep going at it. Let's put our energies down there. Plebs, come in here. I want to say something to you for San Salvador, please. You did a 3-day conference, call it a 1-week conference. Let plebs stay here. Let plebs spend their Bitcoin out here for the next 3-4 days because you did such a beautiful thing here. You got swimming, you got papusa eating, you got dancing, you got cycling, you didn't put running. You got to talk about that, all right? But it was so nice to just see that you did something. So you got the community involved.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
I think that for Bitcoiners coming in from around the world to come to where this all started and to be able to spend their sats at all these places and interact with these people that they've heard about or been following on Twitter and see it in real life, see how it's impacting the youth here and how these youth are leading, going forward. And so I think it's very important for people to come. So we always tell people, come for the Adopting Bitcoin conference, but plan on staying at least another 4 days afterwards, preferably a couple of weeks to really get the experience.
You call it a weekly one now. You just call it a weekly. I'm going to root for it. It's a weekly conference. Think about it.
Adopting Bitcoin Week in El Salvador.
Yay, man. Yeah, there you go. It's got a ring to it now.
But have you found that it was easier for you to spend to live on Bitcoin here versus everywhere else?
I'll tell you very honestly. I haven't used a single dollar. I would say I was with plebs also, but at all the places they accepted Bitcoin, man. Even the toughest place that you said, Paulo, were they were the tough ones to crack, right? And they are on through, right?
Yeah.
In El Zonte.
Yeah.
I remember that you saying like they were the toughy ones. But it's beautiful, man. My hostel in San Salvador, Los Cumbres del Volcan, they told me, sorry, sir. I reached at 1 a.m. and they told, sorry, we don't accept Bitcoin. I looked up to the universe and I'm like, I'm sleeping. Let's pick it up tomorrow. I woke up in the morning. The employee was there. Employee was like, sorry, dollars. I was like, where's your manager? The manager has a moon wallet. And I paid in Bitcoin.
Nice.
My taxi guy was there. It was like $2.40. I was coming to the Crown Plaza. $2.40. $2.40. I'm like, I give you $4.80 in Bitcoin. He's like, here's my Chivo wallet, brother. You have to take that initiative. You know, we have a saying in India, when you take a step, God takes 99 steps. You take a step, take that one step. We have already come so far. Thanks to you, you have created this circular economy. We are able to move something within a year. So thanks to you, man. Like I really would say, like I really bow down. I feel like blessed. I'm like, my journey has found a mecca where I can come down running to. Like I leave the passport, leave the residence, but just come down and feel what is living on a Bitcoin standard. It's good to say hodl, but let the sats flow, guys. Yeah.
No, definitely. That's what we tell people. You can always replenish, spend and replenish. I mean, that is what people should be doing. We want this to be circulating, and the work that you're doing, traveling around, getting people on is super important, but it's also just enjoyable to come to a place like El Salvador. We don't have to work at it. You can just actually live on a Bitcoin standard. So have you finished your trip? Or can people still support you? Or are you trying to get more countries in, or tell us how people can help you with what you're doing?
So the plan was to travel 40 countries in 400 days, thanks to the plebs. I was able to do 21 countries, 22nd being here. I was able to do 21 countries and I have 19 countries remaining. It was all crowdfunded. I was running on BTC Pay Server, one campaign. I copied your images though. The $5, the $10 donations I copied, I took those from there. Palvinex was helping me down there to fix it up. I will be doing the journey continue. This time I will be doing Central and South America, finding such places that are accepting Bitcoin. That shows that, hey, Bitcoin is money. That is something, and that's a common, man. That's common $10. So I would be continuing this journey into the Central and Southern America over this coming year. So would be continuing doing the 15 countries in this part of the world, since there is the Bitcoin jungle, the Bitcoin lake, the Bitcoin pariah, and there's something starting in Peru, in Colombia, the Bitcoin shamans are there. So it is just to share with the community as I make vlogs, right? And it is really nice to share with the community that there is Bitcoin adoption. So yes, the journey continues because it's good to share with the community like, hey, this is just not the West. This is just every country is involved. There are plebs like you and me who are doing their part. Yeah.
So where can people follow you on Twitter, or do you have a website, or what's the best way? And what is the best way for them to support you? Are you looking for like company sponsors or just plebs that can give a little bit, or what's the
plebs can support me on support.runwithbitcoin.com.
Okay.
They can support me on Geyser campaign. And as for following me on Twitter, it's Run with Bitcoin. And it's Paco de la India on YouTube. And that's about it. I have my Substack. I write blogs. I've blogged all my 400 days. Vlogs are there. You can watch for every country on there. And yeah, that's Instagram. I'm there. I just keep putting something out there. But this is about it for there where they can follow. Because I really want to share humans are kind. It's a beautiful saying by Mark Twain. He says, if you don't follow news, you are uninformed. But if you follow news, you are misinformed. So I'm out here just sharing with the community like, hey, there is information out there. Just not get carried away. These are small countries that you had seen, like, which is crazy out there where we wouldn't hear about it. I use Bitcoin in South Sudan, Ethiopia. These are war countries that are happening. But the food is the best food there. Just to share this with the people, the kindness. People are kind. People are kind. People are kind. This is something which we don't talk about. We always like to see, like if I put a black spot here, your mind will only go to the black spot. But hey, I'm white. No, the black spot. So that's what when El Salvador is doing it, and I'm really like, I believe in the karmic energy, and I believe karma is dharma. Your work is your religion, and you here have proven to us that this is proof of work. Thanks to you, we have all these projects around the world. Thanks to you, like people have gotten ray of hope. Like I talked to Herman and he talks about you. I talked to him, everybody, the Fernando from yesterday. they all love you, man. Like,
well, it's been such a privilege to be a part, of these things and to see all these exciting things happening everywhere else. I mean, that's really what it is about. On a lot of Bitcoin shows, they ask people to make their Bitcoin price prediction, but we're not really focused on price. I want to know how long you think it's going to be before it's easy to go most places in the world and live on a Bitcoin standard.
25 years.
25 years.
I know you all are hearing, all you hyper Bitcoinization companies. 25 years, I stand here. I am happy to share all the contacts. It's an open source for me to share all the details that I've gathered. I see it at 25 years because in Africa, it's a long way to go. In Central Africa Republic, there isn't even electricity and roads. But they are the richest country on the planet Earth. They have gold, copper, silver, diamonds, everything is down there. But it is just a long way. It's a top to down approach, right? We are really early. And I would really like to share something with you. You and me are speaking in English. But if you speak to somebody in Spanish, they get connected. You speak somebody to in Brazilian, they get connected. Please speak to your neighbor, speak to your friend. Do not speak to your family. Do not orange pill your family. Please don't orange pill your family because the social dogma, the social pressure will come after you. It comes after me because the Bitcoin was 60 and it's like 16,000 now. And my parents are like, you're scamming your own parents. And I'm like, hey, see, the Bitcoin price is way too cheap. The value of Bitcoin is off the roof. But this all will only come after you read the free book, The Bitcoin Standard. It's available for free. Hyper Bitcoinization happens when, like you, the projects are there. And I'm happy to say there are 10 projects. There's one in Philippines running, right? Yeah. The Pouch. And if there are such projects out there in the world, people get inspired, people will get inspired. It's 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration. And I feel that's going to happen thanks to you. People look up to you and look up to your project, to your team, Ricardo Martinez? Roman, sorry. Yeah. Roman and Paco. I remember that the name Paco. I really love him. Yeah, same name. They've done a great job. Like Roman was all throughout these 7 days. He was out there, always in touch, always available and really nice. Yeah. You have created a community where people are ready to accept it. And I think so we can take it in 25 years. Yes, there are great projects coming out through Fedi or through other hyper Bitcoinization companies. We can have it a little earlier, but people, it's a process, right? Like, let's say you're a Bitcoiner since a long time. It's a process. You have seen halvings and you have seen all this that happened.
Well, 25 years sounds long, but when you're looking at it in the grand scheme of history and how money evolves over time, 25 years is very rapid and very revolutionary.
Yeah, it is. But in the long scheme, as a time preference, I think so our kids, your grandkids would be enjoying it. And they'll be like thankful to you, like, hey, we made it so far.
Well, and for myself, I love the fact that I think El Salvador is going to lead the way. And so if you don't want to wait 25 years, it's actually happening here. And, why not choose to leave if your country isn't embracing it or if it isn't making those roads? Obviously, it's important to have people in every country that are willing to stay and fight for it, but it's also important for people to vote with their feet and to move to the countries that are going to treat them the best. And countries will wake up and take notice if they see their citizens fleeing for El Salvador. They'll realize that they have to copy what El Salvador's done. So I think we're going to see, the next countries fall and adopt Bitcoin because they'll want a piece of what's happening here in El Salvador.
Yeah, and El Salvador, there's something called Escape to El Salvador. Jeremy is running. Yeah, they help you with all the tours and visas and everything. Please, guys, just come down here. It's a beautiful thing. And to everybody who doubts Bitcoin, there's one video I want to show. One video. If you can go down to the Botswana video, there's one beautiful video to everybody who doubts what is happening with Bitcoin. And this is a guy who is running. Okay, the other one. This guy is running a node in the middle of a desert.
Really?
Yeah. Solar paneled. Solar paneled everything. A 2012 Bitcoiner.
Wow.
So just in case if you're thinking your node is not safe, your Bitcoin ain't safe, look at him. He's made that all in the middle of a desert. He's growing potatoes. Life has come down to a part where, and his farm is called the Honey Badger Farm. Look at him. That's all in the middle of a desert. So you don't think about it like this. I've found so many people in Africa. It's a funny thing he says about Andreas Antonopoulos saying that in a funny talk. Would you leave Bitcoin and move to Botswana? And this guy did move to Botswana and he's running a node in the middle of a desert and he's showing it to everyone. It is possible you can run your node and you can be self-sovereign individual. Like this is something which really gave me a lot of joy when I get to hear all of this. Find such stories to just share with people. There is Bitcoin adoption.
Yeah.
It is just like the mainstream media doesn't talk about it because there's climate, WEF and blah, 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 blah. It's okay. It's a free market. See, if Satoshi Nakamoto met us today, what would Satoshi say? Would he be happy?
I think he'd be thrilled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. We have come a long way, man. You have seen it from the start. I am a last year, but you have seen how people have come a long way. There are over 35 projects that I know on Geyser that are doing in different ways of Bitcoin adoption. Like, come on. Let's put that energy forward. See, a person is like a coin. A project is like a coin that has two sides, right? Is the energy you reflect to that person. If I'm nice to you, you're nice to me. If I'm bad to you, you're bad to me. And Bitcoin moves without any permission, without any borders. That's a beautiful thing. Anybody who doubts Bitcoin, please read. Please read. Please. There's a nice video called The Changing World Order by Ray Dalio. Please watch it. It's available for free. Bitcoin Standard is available free. Come down to El Salvador. Everybody in the United States of America. It's an easy flight from Texas, about $140. And you would be here, right?
Yeah. And you'd be here in a couple hours. From the furthest point, I think it's like 5 or 6 hours. But from Texas or Miami, it's very short flight.
Please do come. Please do come. Please do share your sats. Let it feel it, man. It's good to hodl, but please share because care to share, share to care. It's a karmic energy, and this is what has connected us here. I think so, and it's our way forward. It's our only chance at humanity. What else is left now? What else is left to fight for? You have lived your life. You have seen the age of from gold standard. You have lived from the gold standard. It's a funny thing, don't you think? You are from the gold standard. Oh, you were one and into the fiat standard. What else is left fighting for?
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good note to leave it on, and just encourage everybody to follow you in your journeys as you continue to bring Bitcoin exposure throughout the world. So thanks for spending time in El Salvador with us, Paco.
Thank you.
It's been a great
pleasure. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm going to say this funny thing, which I learned. It's funny. I'm just going to do it. A man who has no love talks about love. A man who has no money talks about money. A man who has no Bitcoin talks about Bitcoin. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, man. Namaste to you all. Thank you.